Welcome to the Ultimate Sacrifice Show, where combat veterans and Gold Star families have a voice. All right, welcome to the next episode of the Ultimate Sacrifice Show. Today we have an amazing guest, Richard Gatewood. Rich, thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So Rich is a retired Sergeant First Class. He was an 11 Charlie, an infantryman, and he served with JC. That's how he initially came on the show. So I'm definitely honored to have our second guest, technically, that I didn't directly serve with on the show, but I love kind of what encompasses that and the viewpoint from other vets that I didn't know personally. So without further ado, Rich, man, if you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself for everyone.
So yeah, sure. As previously stated, I'm Richard Gatewood, retired Sergeant First Class from the United States Army. I was raised in Northwest Tennessee, literally in a wide spot in the road, a little bit tiny place called Latham, Tennessee. That's my claim to home. But there's even a more remote spot than that you won't find on a map that we called Scrougehorn. And I don't even know how to describe it. People say, "Oh, you're rural West Tennessee." No, I mean remote West Tennessee. I grew up in an agriculture environment. Just grew up rough, and all of us did, especially the boys. And some would consider very dysfunctional. I consider mildly dysfunctional, but it really shaped who I am today. For fact, I mean, as kids, we worked, man. We worked, and I'm 51, and growing up like that in a world that we live in today, it's challenged sometimes. It's definitely a challenge sometimes.
Absolutely.
But spent 27 years in the military, and I value every minute of it that I had. Met some great people, had some great life experiences. Worked in so many different commands, Force Com, TRADOC, even fell under the medical command at one time, installation management command, and I had a very well-rounded career. Didn't retire the way I really wanted to, but I had to make some life decisions based on my family, because I've got two sons, and they come before any career move or anything like that. Turned down a promotion, pissed a lot of people off because I turned down a promotion. I did some things to get stationed at Fort Campbell so I could be closer to my sons. That upset a lot of people too. But again, they're my kids. They're my kids. And they're why I moved to where I moved, which is here at Fort Campbell. They're why I made the retirement decisions I made. Part of that was due to being wounded in action in Afghanistan, which was one of my deployments. So yeah, that's kind of a little. I'll be very happy right now. Wife, three kids in a blended family. And it's a challenge, but life just gives you challenges, man. It does.
Sure.
Everything's awesome.
Good, man. I'm glad to hear that. 27 years, man. That's quite some time.
A little bit.
That's awesome. But you know what? That
couple of days there.
That kind of battle ridden, and I always talk about us being so combat tested as a nation, but it's beyond true, man. I mean, I think just our generation encapsulated as a whole is so not only burnt out now, but just we were so battle tested that it's really hard for us to kind of rationalize what today's society is like. It's almost impossible for us to do that. So I totally feel you. I know JC does too, man. I'm going to let JC take it over. But before that, I just kind of want to know what led you to serve and why you wanted to serve our nation.
So that's That's pretty easy. And I, and talking to so many vets, I've learned that I'm definitely not alone in the reasons why I joined, but then the reasons I stayed being completely different. So again, being from where I was from, there was very little opportunity. For a kid like me, you were either going to stay on the farm or you were going to go to a factory, one of the two. And I just was like, I can't do that. Like, I can't. My dad, who's passed away now, he told me the whole time I was growing up, he's like, son, I want you to like be in charge of you, and don't be the follower that I was. And, that's a whole other story, but I was like, well, okay. And even though he and I had like I said, dysfunctional relationship, I took that and I said, okay, well, the only way really out of here, because I was terrible in school, really the only way I'm getting out of here is to join the military. And I did. I went to the recruiter station. I joined between my junior and senior year in high school, by the book, and then left. After I graduated high school, I left and went to basic training. So that's why I left. But the reason I stayed was just, and originally, I'm going to lie, originally my plan was I'm going to go 4 years. I'm getting my college money. I'm going to get my head on straight, and I'm going to start, adulting and do real life after that. But, I got in there and I'm like, no, man, this is for me. This is for me. So, one reenlistment just leads to another. And then before you know it, you're like, holy crap, I've been doing this my entire life. and so that's why I joined. And then there's why I stayed. Just so many more reasons to stay than what I joined. And after a while, I just kind of forgot why I joined to start with,
Right.
It gets muddled after a certain amount of years.
It does. It
Yeah.
gets very muddled. And I think with, just being in the military, and I shouldn't even say that because I've only been in the Army, but so being in the Army, clarity sometimes can get like thrown out. You have to be clear. That's one of the reasons I love the military, man, because anytime I went to do anything, there was an op order with a mission statement.
Yep.
There was a sequence there. Everything was a procedure. And so there was just clarity. But then outside of the military part, outside of your day, or outside of your deployment, or outside of your patrol, or outside of that, and you go home at the end of the day, and then you have a family, and it's like, like I'm good. I'm clear. I'm focused with all of the Army stuff. But how do I family? How do I family? And it's tough. I mean, one of the things I found myself doing as a senior the most was kind of coaching younger guys in that. Like, look, you're doing great. You're doing great here at work, but I'm hearing stuff about what your weekend is like. No go.
Exactly.
Not cool. Don't do that. So yeah, JC definitely muddled. A lot of stuff gets muddled. But then when it's time to turn that switch on to go, shoot people in the face, it's like, no problem. Got it.
Second nature.
Second nature, second nature, because we're trained to do that. We're trained to do that. Right. And the Army, I mean, they put forth the effort. They really do, like, Army family team building, and they really try, and that gets down to the lowest level. Like, what is your team leader doing to encourage the family team building? Well, Jesus, man, he's trying to do it too.
Yeah.
So it gets muddled. It gets muddled, and it gets complicated. And then you deploy, and it gets simple again. And then you redeploy back, and it's like, holy crap, all the stuff I was dealing with before, now I'm dealing with again. Yeah. And then some guys, it's just deploying. It's so much simpler. We hear it all the time. We say it all the time. life on deployment is simple. It's not reality, but it's simple and it's your job. And so they go to that. They go to that. They actually, I've talked to countless soldiers, like they actually look forward to deployment. They're like, because life is simple when I'm deployed. And I'm like, well, dude, here's the deal. One of these days, you're leaving the Army. You're leaving eventually. You know, you're going to have to. You're either going to be like me and you're going to retire, or you're going to ETS, or you're going to get medically retired for whatever reason. Or you can do something stupid and get kicked out. But eventually you're gonna go away. You're gonna go away. And yeah, like JC's one of the closest people to me. I love the crap out of that dude. You know,
Yes,
we've had Jason and I've had so many good and bad times, different ends of the spectrum. Whenever I heard him talking about the deployment he and I were on and the VBID, and he and I were talking about that again the other day. I was like, dude, I will never forget that moment ever, because they had positioned me when they positioned us. They'd positioned me in a spot where I couldn't cover him, and I was like, he's kind of out there flapping, you know. And
for anyone that's listening, a VBAD's vehicle-borne IED, just so someone has an IED in the car, is what he's talking about.
Yeah. And so I was like, man, I can't do anything for this dude. You know, and he's literally right in front of me. If something crappy happens, I'm going to see it, you know, and I will never forget that dude in that VBID was flying toward, and then got just before he got past us, you could see his face. And then after as he was passing, like, it just happened so fast. It's like neither one of us. Yes, so fast. Neither one of us could do anything. And I remember JC and I locking eyes. And the look, I was like, I can't help you, dude. I can't. And he looked back at me and was like,
time to go.
Time to go. And the heat, I remember the heat and like feeling the shock wave and, you know, and like flying metal going everywhere. And, you know, we went back to our cop. And we're just cleaning off parts off of our vehicles and in and out of our vehicles, man. And I shouldn't say never, it's an all-inclusive word, but I cannot remember a time when I was more glad to have feet on the ground, you know, and somebody with a big old bear hug than whenever we got back to that cop, man. Because I was like, holy shit, man. I was like, dude, you made it. You didn't die.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
there was a moment.
There was a moment, you know, and we had a great time on that deployment. My station in life was completely different than it is now, and I know JC's was as well. And we developed that friendship, like I really do. And I definitely don't say this about everybody, but I consider Jace Callahan my brother, like that.
Yes, sir.
Like, and, you know, JC's one of the people I've kept up with. I mean, God, JC, how long ago was that? Like
20 years almost.
Yeah, man, well, almost 20 years.
Well, so let's peel it back a little bit. Before that, I can remember coming to Fort Hood, my first duty station, and I was there for maybe a year. And this was about 6 months before our deployment, and that's when I met you. And I think you were a sergeant maybe at the time, and I think I was a specialist. Yep. And for whatever reason, man, we just kicked it off, and you know, we became fast friends. And then we're like, all right, let's deploy, and we deployed together. And then it evolved from there. And I think that our moment was, you know, being in Najaf and down on Haifa Street. Like we had a lot of moments, you know, but for everybody that's listening, you know, if you maintain constant contact with your military family, you have lifelong people with you. And no matter what the struggle is, no matter what you're going through in life, that person or those people are always going to be there. And you're one of those people for me. So I do appreciate you. And I appreciate you being on here, talking with us, man, and giving us your insights on life, brother.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, I'm very grateful for this moment to actually get some words out there, man. I wish I wish everybody had this chance, you know, to do this. But
we're gonna try to make that happen, man. We're gonna do our best.
But I'm gonna have what Jason said kind of segue into something. And again, the dude knows me, so he knows, man. I will say it. There are things that people don't like to hear, don't want to hear, but I will say them. Not everybody, and I think this is another underlying problem that nobody wants to talk about, but it's the truth, and everybody struggles with it, and they need to freaking stop struggling with this. If you're listening, not everyone that comes into your life is supposed to stay there forever. Because if you're an Army dude, I want you to think about how many people you meet with PCSs and deployments. You know, the dude that was in the chow hall behind you just before patrol, that's from another unit that talked to you, that doesn't mean that you're supposed to stay in touch with that guy forever, man.
Exactly.
And so what happens, I really do believe this, because I hear it from veterans, man. They're like, I'm terrible at keeping in touch with people. I'm like, yeah, but who are you supposed to keep in touch with? You know, filter that stuff, man. You don't have to keep up with everybody. You need to keep up with you first. And if trying to maintain this list of everybody you were in a unit with and everybody you deployed with and all of their people too, it's too much. You can't do it. And if you don't want to believe me, you don't have to believe me, but keep trying and see how that works out for you, man. Like it's not going to work. Okay. You have a few people that are in your tribe, you know, and those are your people. And like JC's one of mine, and we've kept each other in touch with each other this whole time. And it hasn't been like every week. Like you don't have to, you know, talk to this person every week and that person every week and set everybody up on a cycle. For me, doesn't work. I have to have a handful of dudes. Hold on, I gotta silence my phone. My kids messaging me. But handful of dudes, you know, that like JC, you really hit it off with. You had some really strong experiences with, and that's what binds you. You keep in touch. You know, I remember when JC hit the Humvee instead of the ground. You know, I remember all that stuff. And I remember whenever he was in Mountain Valley. I remember whenever he was, you know, in Fort Drum. And I remember all this stuff, you know. So yeah, filter, man. Filter. It's not your fault that you don't have the bandwidth to maintain a relationship with everybody you may think you have to maintain a relationship with.
That's great advice, man.
I think that's solid, man. A lot of people really kind of, you know, I see that a lot with, you know, the 22 a day challenge and all that stuff, and people kind of beat themselves in a hole. I had one of my soldiers who was, when I first got to drum, he was one of the first soldiers in my squad. You remember Sykes, JC, and he ended up killing himself. And he fell into that category. And I remember all the soldiers texting me, but it's like, you know what, at the end of the day, I didn't keep up with him. You know, we lived totally separate lives, and I felt terrible for his family and everyone. But yeah, I didn't keep up with him either, man. And you're right. You're not going to keep up with everyone. And everyone does there's a certain type of responsibility and personal responsibility that you need when you get out of the military. You can't all be a sob story. There are brothers in your tribe that you can lean on, but if your whole life is a sob story, then and you can't get it out of that self-pity realm, right? Then a lot of veterans are going to kind of pull away from you, believe it or not. And I think that is the sad reality, because we don't want to deal with that. We don't. Because you want to deal with your tribe.
Yeah, I've done it. I can't tell you how many folks that have worked for me in the past. And this is after I retired, and even whenever I was in the Warrior Transition Unit after being wounded in action, they get chaptered out, or the ETS or whatever, and they're reaching out to me, and and then after some checking, find out that they're just living a life of victimhood. And I'm like, dude, I don't understand how you went from being the dude that I knew 3 years ago. Now you're living out of your car and you're a drug addict, and on and on and on and on and on. And I'm not going to sit here and say what help you need, but I can tell you that I'm not the one that has it. Okay. No, I'm not going to Venmo you $200. I'm not going to do that, dude. I'm not doing that. No, I hate it that you're living out of your car on the Walmart parking lot. I hate that for you. And I hate it for your kids that you don't have right now, but it's not mine to deal with. You know,
right.
it's not mine to deal with. I have mine to deal with, you know, and I'm doing it. And it's easy for me to say, but without all the other, just point blank, you got to fix it. You got to fix it. You know, you've got to fix it. Your decisions have consequences, and sometimes the people around you feel the consequences as well. So, you know, at one point in time, you weren't like this. And again, I'm not trying to be insensitive to people that have problems, or, you know, that they transitioned out and now they're having trouble figuring it out. I totally get that. We all do. Jason had a conversation about that a while back too, like the 3 months before and the 3 months after you get out. But you can't wallow in that. You can't live in that. You can't wallow in that. You can't throw self-pity on yourself all the time. And if you're around people that are feeding that, you need to get the hell away. If that means you block them on every source of communication that you have, then that's what you do, man. That's what you do. And I'm not trying to hear, oh, that's such a drastic measure. Look, man, we used to shoot people in the face for people that we've never met. Don't freaking talk to me about drastic measures. Okay. We're talking about your life. Okay. You need to take some drastic measures. Sometimes you have to take drastic measures. And if blocking people that are toxic to you, if that's what it takes for you to get right, then that's what you need to do. And if you're not willing to do that, I've got nothing for you. I don't have anything for you. I'm not going to feed it. I'm not going to support it. Okay. But as well, if I wasn't part of the people that made you better, I'm not going to sit there and claim part of the glory either. You know, I don't need it. I don't need it. At one point in time, I had a nonprofit, and it came about from my experiences as being wounded in action and being placed in the warrior transition unit, which I hope they're better now than they were then. Because it was god awful, man. It was awful for me. Like, and that could be a whole other show, but really, Jason knows. But
we can get off the topic. I got you, buddy.
But anyways, what I learned from that nonprofit was like, that was my passion. Getting people to see, combat vets to see that, hey, look, we got to get you back on track. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to help you find your sense of purpose again. And that was my passion. And it ran its course. And I shut it down. But in the end, what I learned from that was like, dude, don't expect your passion to be everybody else's. Like, and that happened to you. And it's great that you learned all this stuff. And it's great that you feel that way. And it's great that you help some people, but don't expect everybody else to jump on board because of it, just because it briefs well on PowerPoint. You know, we've all seen those con ops, you know, and it's like, that's not gonna work.
It's good advice though, man. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, someone has to say the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
Because people do fall into this trap. You know, I revert back to the self-pity trap, but they do. And it's very easy. And then it's also it's an emotional appeal to everyone to be like, oh, you know, feel bad for him. He's a veteran. But at the end of the day, you know, at a point in all these people's lives, yeah, they had their shit together. And they have to remember what they did and the self-sacrifice they put themselves through. And not only themselves, a lot of them led, you know, other human beings into freaking war that we were in for the past 2 decades.
Yeah.
I think that more action needs to be taken. There's no doubt from the post 9/11 GI or military members, so to speak. But I think it's slowly starting to happen. I think that the drawdown was the catalyst to a lot of things, man. And the rage and the anger we felt just just with everything, man. It was just a mixed emotion across the board. But dude, I don't think that you're drastic at all. I think that it's coming from, a true leader and someone who soldiers likely looked up to very much, and they need to hear that.
I appreciate that, because I just woke up every day, regardless of what job I had in the Army. And like I said, I had a lot of them, so many different capacities. But I just woke up every day, man, and I said, today I'm going to try. I'm going to freaking try. Today I'm going to try, and like whenever Jason and I were deployed together, sometimes those days were 3 days long, and you finally do get some rest. And so you get 3.5, you've been awake for 2+ days, and you get some rack time. You get like 3.5 hours, and they're waking you up again. And when they wake you up after 3.5 hours, I'm going to try. I'm going to try. I'm just going to keep trying until it's over. I'm just going to keep trying. One of these things is going to win, either me or the situation. And I'm going to keep trying until the situation is over, because the situation is not an animate object. It sounds kind of weird, but it's just, I'm like, it's the situation is not living. The situation is just a time period, and there's all this stuff going on in it, but it can't last forever. It's either going to last until I try through it, or I die trying through it. And if I die, it's not my problem anymore. Somebody else got to do it. It's just how it is. And so again, I take a lot of that back to how I was raised by my dad. And the Army is an ever-changing thing, and one thing I had to get people to understand was the veteran that we all relate to, the old guy that's hanging out in American Legion or riding a float for VFW or whatever. I love the hell out of those guys. Like I do, man. Those guys have been such an inspiration to me. And to this day, I try to emulate a lot of them. But that is not the face of the modern day veteran. Hell, the modern day veteran is not even the same as, to me, opinion, post 9/11 veteran, because it has drawn down so much. And, kinetic operations have drawn down so much. And I say that my son's active duty now. And he and I talk, we can definitely relate to each other, but there are things that he says to me that are just like totally foreign. And there are things that I say to him that are totally foreign, but it's the same Army. And so I think that we as veterans have got to bear that in mind. Like the kid that we see ETSing after 4 years, that's not the same guy that it was 12 years ago. Situation's different. And, like cling to what works for you, but you got to understand that it's a different world. The world is different than it was then. So you just can't get stuck. You can't get stuck in your tunnel vision and then expect everything to adapt to you, because that's not going to happen.
That's a great point, man. That's a great point. I struggle with that. I still struggle with that. And it's about, it's about punctuality, right? It's about being on time. And I struggle with other people still. I'm like, look, you said 6, it's 6. You're not here.
Yes.
I'm like, well, what's going on? I've been here for 10 minutes and I'm waiting for you. Yeah. Oh, you're going to be here at 6:15. Okay, cool. But it's that simple point that drives people anxiety. It drives stress. Because we've done it for so long, we built so much around just being punctual that simple task actually controls your life later on. And so I've been trying to figure out how to be more responsive with people and be like, okay, I get it. We'll be a little late. I understand. So it's a good point. But you're still late.
We'll be a little late.
But JC Callahan understanding that.
Yeah, exactly right.
Let me know when that happens, but I want to be front and center.
But that's part of the whole, I think, we had, like I say, we have to be flexible. We used to call it flexecution. We have to be flexible, and what some of the worst stuff I've heard whenever I went to retire was, you're gonna get out of the Army and you have to change. You have to completely change, and you hear that and you're like, well, okay, I don't really know how I'm going to do that. And that's all they tell you. You have to completely change. And then you get out and you're like, okay, I'm trying to completely change. But there's some stuff you've just been indoctrinated with. You can't just change those things. And guess what? Not all of those things are bad. Punctuality is not a bad thing. It's not.
No, it's great. It's a great thing.
Solid work ethic is not a bad thing. It's not treating people, good, is not a bad thing. And it's like, so it takes a long time to figure out, okay, what are the things about me that I can give up and it's really not going to matter? And then what are the things I need to hang on to, that keep me from losing my mind? So, it's an okay thing to have a routine. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But in the same token, that's your routine, and not everybody in your life needs to cater to that. You just, that's you. And you have to understand that maybe the people that are around you, they don't live like that. So it's angering, but they don't need to be tongue lashed whenever they're 15 minutes late, or like, no, dude, I can't do this or that with you because I do this other thing, on this day. That's okay to hold on to that, but like, so it's balancing and figuring out, what is it I need to hang on to? What is it I need to let go of? And what of it I just need to not give any mental attention to figure out. It's tough.
Right.
Man. It's tough. It's hard. Yeah.
No, it is, but you've been doing it for a lot of years now. You got out over 10 years ago, right? You retired over 10 years ago now?
I got out, I retired 2014, December 2014. So it's just shy of 10 years. With me, it's kind of like my attorney said. He's like, Richard, with you, it's not the years, it's the mileage. You got a lot of you have a lot of mileage, and it's not all good. You may need to go into the shop. But yeah, man. Yeah, and I'm not trying to tell anybody else how to live. I'm just like, this is what's worked for me, and I'm still figuring it out, man. I'm still figuring it out, because the people in our lives, they change too. And if you think you're ever going to arrive at this location to where you don't have to invest any mental or emotional energy into things, you're lying to yourself. It's not going to happen, because the world changes, the people around you change, hell, you change. It's okay to change. I think one of the best things I've ever told my sons, both of them, because they're both in their 20s, and you don't know what the hell you're doing in your 20s, really.
Yep.
I mean, you might have a good idea, and that may last for some time, but then you change your mind. And so it's okay to change your mind. It's okay. You're not a tree, man. You can move. It's okay if you don't like where you're growing, because you're growing in some way. If you don't like where you're growing, move.
Yep. It's that easy.
It is that easy. And like I did the same thing JC did. I tried real estate. Nah, for the same reasons. I tried insurance. Nah, for the same reasons. And like I'm still figuring it out. Thank God that I, have a retirement check coming in, and I can afford, to try to figure it out. But yeah, it's how it is, man. You got to stay fluid, do some execution, realize that, your decisions have consequences and those consequences affect other people. And so, all things considered, anyway.
Well, again, man, it's good advice. So the deal with this is like some shows we do, I get 20 people that ping me like, oh my God, that was phenomenal advice. Some shows I get one. But the fact of the matter is there's someone that's going to be out there that's going to be listening that likes what you have to say and can really kind of bounce those ideas off of what you're saying and turn them into something that's a realm of reality for them and really fix their life or help them. You just never know, man. But at the end of the day, it's also your words. It's your advice. It's how you get through things. And that's what matters. Just like you said, it really doesn't matter what anyone else does. This is what you do.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. I just don't want, I had a friend of mine introduced me one time to a group of people. They're like, this is Richard, and he just wants everybody to be okay. And there's truth in that. there's truth in that. One of those biggest things, I guess one of my many messages I have in my 51 long years is that you may be by yourself, but man, you're not alone. Whatever you're going through, you're not the first one, man. Look how long the human race has been around. Come on, give me a break. You're not the first person that's gone through this. So, even, and if that means, okay, I realize that and I reach out and I try to find other people that are doing it, that's great. Or if you're more like me and you're just like, I take comfort in knowing that I'm not the only one that has ever gone through this. If you just take comfort in that and move on. I used to tell my trainees, because, I was a trainee. I was in the same position at one time. And so you think everything is a catastrophe, oh my God, what are we going to do? And so I used to tell my trainees, I'm like, Private, listen, the Army's been around for 200, I can't remember how many years at the time.
Almost 250 now.
Almost 250. So I'm like, the Army's been around for 230 plus years. There's not a problem that you can dream up, and that there's not a system in place to deal with it. Relax. Keep your weapon pointed down range. And keep your booger picker off the bang button until you're ready to shoot something.
So true. So true. And don't worry, Rich has got tons of those little quips. He'll throw them at you all day.
Dude, were you a drill sergeant?
I was for 3 years.
Yeah, no one thinks of those one-liners like that. Keep your booger picker. Oh my God! They
don't teach you that. They don't teach you that in school. It's just that you're in, man. It's like
just pick up the best one-liners ever.
Yeah, you're just like you don't even know it, but you're like a stand-up comedian every day when you go to work. You're not even meaning to, but like if you say what you're really thinking, it sounds terrible.
Dude, I had this one drill sergeant. I got to say this, man. It's ridiculous. People might think this is disturbing. So we were in the front lead arrest, and obviously everyone puts their ass up because you're dying after like 30 minutes. And this one dude gets behind us. This dude was like 6'7", just a monster. He gets behind us, infantry dude, and he's like, privates, if you don't put your ass down in 1 second, something bad is going to happen. I was like, you got to be kidding me right now. I'm like this little suburban kid from Jersey. Like, this dude is an animal. What the hell is going on?
He's going to eat me for lunch.
It was ridiculous.
And one thing I didn't realize until long after my drill sergeant tour was over, I didn't get it until, God, much later. The impact that my daily interactions with people, the effect, the magnitude of those, just what seems like microscopic interactions, like it comes up later because I would tell mine, I was like, look, you don't ever know. You're in the Army. I'm in the Army. You're going to graduate here. You're going to go do your thing. And I'm going to come off the trail and go do my thing. And our paths may cross. And I can tell you, the first unit I went to after I came off the trail, there were 4 of my trainees there. 4.
Yep.
And so when they saw me, they're like, oh my God. and I just like, I told you, didn't I?
Told you.
I just want to say for the record that I PG'd up that story big time.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. This is a national
Of
platform.
what he actually told me was going to happen.
Yes.
Oh, I can imagine what he said. It's not good.
Dude, but it's like they're just the hilariousness that comes out of the military. And I miss it so much, man. Those one-liners like made my day every day.
I was that. This is going to shock you. I was, every basic training company inadvertently has certain drill sergeants that kind of just fit this role, and they just they show up, and that's the role they are. And so, there's always that one just kind of quiet, weird, that drill sergeant that you're just not too sure about. And I inadvertently, that was me. Like, yeah, that was
really?
Yes, that was me, because I, believe it or not, I'm actually a raging introvert. And so I'm surrounded by 62 privates every day, like fucking people, and so I just was like, all the time. And so I didn't really yell a lot.
They were probably more frightened because of that.
Petrified.
And I would just be walking around, you drill sergeant, you have to be where they are, and you're just kind of walking around, and just like someone like later in the cycle, you can actually interact with.
Right. You loosen up. Yeah.
And I would find out, they're like, yeah. So I was in 4th platoon, by myself most of the time, because that wasn't actually an authorized platoon, but they gave us the people anyway. And so, obviously 3rd platoon stands next to 4th platoon. And so the 3rd platoon trainees that didn't know anything about me at all, like I would walk between the 2 platoons, and I found out on more than one cycle, there was a couple of them that like peed their pants. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, man. I'm like, I'm 5'9", I weigh 160. What the hell is wrong with you? What do you, just because I don't yell, so you're scared of me? Are you kidding me?
Exactly right.
I want you to be scared of me. I just want you to listen to me. That's all I'm asking you to do, man. Like, give me a break. But that was another really another highlight of my career, was my time as a drill sergeant. Really got to impact some people's lives, saw lives change, because like some of them came from like where I was, some of them came from, inner city, just people from all walks of life. That was one of the cool things I liked about the military, was it didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter who you were. You came to this place, and none of that mattered. None of it. Yep. And one of the things I had to know, and this actually helped me a lot as a drill sergeant, and helped me maintain my temper, actually, was that these people that are here, they don't know what they're doing. They've never been in the Army before. So you may think they're stupid, but that's because they don't know what they're doing.
Okay? Yeah.
And they're looking at you. That's why they're bugging the hell out of you, because they don't know what they're doing, and they're afraid they're going to screw up.
Right. And get smoked.
And you're going to get smoked. So I literally figured that out. And so I put them all, the big open bay, the training bay or whatever it is, wherever you are, whatever it's called. And I would sit them down in there like week 2, and I would break down for them the priorities of work, which I'm sure you remember, and the principles of patrolling, which I'm sure you remember. And I'd be like, look, your life revolves around these 2 things right now. If you want to not piss me off and you want to know what you're doing, learn these 2 things. Learn these 2. If you will just do these 2 things on a daily basis, wake up every morning and try and do these 2 things right here, you will have a much better life at your stay here in basic combat training. I won't say it will be pleasurable. I will say it will be less hate-filled.
That's right,
dude. Yeah, that's tumultuous though. I mean, especially like you go through a whole cycle and then you got to pick up brand new, and you're like,
brand new.
Like I got to friggin' teach everything all over again.
All over again. 7 days a week, 10 weeks straight. I was a drill sergeant during the surge. And so literally, there were times whenever we would be graduating a class down here at the parade field or the theater, and other drill sergeants in my company would be at reception picking up brand new trainees.
Yep.
Bringing into. So everybody that was graduating, their duffel bags were on one side of the building. Everybody that was coming in, they were coming into the other side of the building, and you couldn't let them intermingle. You couldn't let them intermingle. You couldn't let them talk. You couldn't let them see each other, nothing. And so it was a challenge.
And like, you just got over being, well, like some of them being raging psychos to the people who already graduated. And then you ramp down, and then you got to flip the switch and then go right back to red phase.
Right back.
And shark
right
attack.
Back. But I was able to relate that experience with my last deployment, which is to Afghanistan, because you're dealing with Afghanis. They don't speak English. So they're just like a basic trainee. They don't know what they're doing.
True.
They know what they're doing. And so that deployment, that last deployment, the one that I got wounded in action with, that was phenomenal.
Rich, who were you with?
I was with the 101st. I was 132 Cav, and I was in Kunar Valley on a little bitty spot.
Where about?
I was in one of the O pieces, Barialai. Purtle King was the place I was mainly at.
Cool.
But the geographic location was Sunek. And so, I mean, it was the tops, man. It was absolute miserable, but man, want to talk about a life experience. I
feel you, man.
It was amazing. I went out with a bang, quite literally. Came home, long story short, came home with a 3-inch hole in my chest. They took the largest piece of shrapnel out in country and sent me home. Still had 3 pieces in me. One of those pieces was sitting between my heart and my lungs. Couldn't get it out. But here I am today. Here I am today, live and kicking. You can't believe what you're always told, even by professionals. I was told I would never use my arm again. I would never, you'll never do all these things. And I'm like, dude, no, you don't tell me what to do.
That's right. That's right.
You don't tell me what to do. So yeah. I mean, I'm not fully recovered. I never will be completely recovered, but again, just like everything else, you get up every day and you try. You try.
Yeah, bro.
You don't quit trying.
I feel you, man. I feel
you.
I think
that's all you can do.
We've had a good amount of people who are Kunar vets and all that. I was in the 173rd too. I feel you, man. That place sucks.
It was a different place, man. It was just a different place, and I went to a course eons before that, and I actually wrote this down because this has been kind of what I've lived by ever since I went to that course, and it was do what you can when you can with what you have, as fast as you can. And that's my definition of try. Do what you can when you can, the best you can with what you have, as fast as you can. And that's like I said, that's my definition of trying. And that when you're in the military, that's a lot simpler because you're in the military and you can see that it's right in front of you. But after you get out, that becomes troublesome because, like, what can I do? What do I have? What does the best look like? And I'm depending on other people sometimes to do it the best I can, and as fast as I can. And I think that's one of the things like Jason and I experienced, especially is like, look, man, I can only work as fast as you're letting me. But yeah, man, that's me. My wife and I We have a small business downtown here in Clarksville. I do the same thing there. I just wake up every day and I try. It's very difficult, just because being a small business person is difficult. But you wake up and you try. Yeah.
And that's the best advice you can give, man. That's good advice.
It is good advice. Dude, we got about 5 minutes, and we usually like to end. I mean, we can end with whatever you so choose. You're a very interesting guy, but we usually like to end with kind of just lessons learned and what kind of advice you can give, not only veterans of our generation, but the modern day veteran. I know, like you said, they are vastly different, but you have some good one-liners and some good pieces of life experience and advice. Take it away, man.
I appreciate that. Again, reiterate, get up every day with that definition of try. You are not alone, even though you're by yourself. There is a way out. Do not choose a permanent solution to a temporary problem, because that's not going to help anybody. Okay. It's not. Realize that is an example of your decisions having consequences, not just for you, but for other people. It is a tough time. It's not going to last. It's not going to last. You will get through it. Just wake up and try. My last thing is this, and I don't try to shove this down anybody's throat, because I don't want anybody to shove anything down my throat. But I don't. I'm not going to let him. No, I won't let him.
You're always going to get a good chuckle out of me when you lean in with that one.
Exactly where
You got to lean into it, man. But see, now I know I have his attention.
Oh my God.
I'm here, dude.
Listen, reactions tell you that you have people's attention. So now I know I have his attention. But I'm alive today because God chose to let me live. The end. I could get on here for 17 hours and talk about all kinds of stuff, and I know all kinds of people have all kinds of different persuasions, but it's my minute. So I'm going to say it. I'm here because God decided I didn't need to go away yet. And I truly believe that if you're here, you're supposed to damn be here. And you may not know why you're here, but you're here for a reason. Okay. And maybe you're not supposed to know right now. Maybe not. Maybe you're not supposed to have all the damn answers yet. Maybe you're not supposed to, man. Maybe if you knew everything, there wouldn't be a reason for you being here. I mean, you cannot have the expectation that there are going to be no unknowns. There are going to be unknowns, but you get up every day and you damn try. Okay. Because you're supposed to be here, because I believe there is a superior being that chose for you to be here. So don't make decisions for that person. Don't do that. Don't make decisions for your family, your friends, your work partners, your what the hell ever. Don't make a permanent decision for them that's going to tragically affect their life forever. Okay. Stay here with us. Stay. You'll work through it. You can rise like a phoenix from the ashes, but you have to be burnt down first. Ashes don't just appear. Some shit has to be burnt for you to come up from the ashes. So it'll all work out, man. It'll all work out.
Awesome.
That's awesome. How it is.
That's good stuff, man.
There you go.
Absolutely.
So funny, dude. When you were saying that, I was thinking in my head, holy shit, how many days have I thought this? But I had no idea that other people were thinking the same stuff.
There you go.
And see, like that just, exactly I'm number one now that affected. So that's how it works, man. Yeah. That's how it works. And across the board, like, listen, I've had colonels call me and be like, dude, you have no idea how much I hear you. I feel you. I needed that, so on and so forth. And I'm like, holy shit, what? Like, you're a battalion commander. But dude, I mean, like, people don't understand that. Like, even down to the lowest private, like, they might have some really cool shit to say now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just don't know.
For fact.
And that's what I love about this platform, guys, is having the ability to come on here and say the things that we need to say or want to say, and providing that outlet for other people that don't have the ability to say it. And that's why, I believe in so much about what we're doing, and it's incredible. It's an incredible feeling, and it's an incredible experience.
Cool.
It's awesome, man. Dude, Rich, we got to have you on again.
All right.
Because there's a lot of things that, I mean, dude, even if we're just making circles and talking about the same crap over and over, I think it's really interesting.
I got you, man.
And it's really good stuff, man.
I got you. Let me know when, man. Just let me know when.
100%. 100%. We'll do it in a few months,
Sure.
man. I mean,
All right.
we got a bunch of shows to release, and I want to get everyone heard, like what you were saying, but I also want to bring people back on because it's important.
Yeah. Cool. I'd love to.
Yeah, brother.
All right, dude. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Jace, you got anything to add?
Appreciate it.
No, man. Thanks, Rich. Love you, brother. Appreciate you being here, and just glad to have you in the fold. I know your advice and your life lessons provide a lot of feedback for a lot of people that need to hear it. So we're grateful to have you, my brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.